Welcome back, everybody, for another deep dive. Today, we're doing something kind of fun.
Yeah.
We're looking into the future.
Okay.
Yeah, we're going to be exploring some of the biggest marketplace trends predicted for 2025.
All right. So, like, what we should be keeping our eyes on.
Exactly.
Oh.
Like what's coming down the pipeline.
Yeah.
You know, I always find this stuff so fascinating. Like getting a little glimpse into how we might be shopping just a couple years from now. And frankly, some of these predictions are,
Wild.
yeah, a little mind-boggling for sure. We've got a really detailed article here. It goes deep on something like the top 18 trends, packed with all sorts of fascinating stats and figures.
18 trends.
Yeah, it's a lot.
Yeah.
But hey, that's why we do these deep dives,
Yeah.
to break down the complex stuff.
I'm excited to dig in.
Me too.
Yeah.
Okay, so the first thing that jumps out from this article, and I mean, it's like everywhere, is AI.
Oh, yeah. AI is huge right now.
Totally. But this article takes it to a whole other level. Like,
Yeah.
seriously, is there anything AI won't be doing by 2025?
For example, it predicts that personalized shopping experiences driven by AI could generate trillions of dollars for businesses.
Wow.
I know, it's a staggering number.
It really is. And it makes sense when you think about it. AI is incredibly powerful in this context because of the massive amounts of data that marketplaces are collecting.
Right. All those clicks and purchases and searches.
It all feeds into these algorithms that can then tailor recommendations with incredible precision.
So it's like having a personal shopper who knows your tastes better than you know them yourself.
In a way, yeah. Which is kind of cool.
It is cool.
Yeah.
But it also makes you wonder, like, what about privacy?
That's a valid concern for sure. And something we should definitely explore further.
Absolutely. But interestingly, the article also highlights how AI can be a force for good, too, especially when it comes to sustainability.
Oh, yeah. How so?
Well, think about it. Imagine AI helping companies predict demand with incredible accuracy. That means they can optimize their inventory and production processes,
Right.
reduce waste from overstocking.
And ultimately lessen their environmental impact.
Exactly. So AI could potentially be this behind-the-scenes hero helping us shop more sustainably without us even realizing it.
Pretty cool.
Yeah, I thought so too. Okay, shifting gears a bit. The article also talks about this really interesting interplay between the digital and physical worlds.
Okay.
On the one hand, we have NFTs and digital assets exploding in popularity, predicted to be worth hundreds of billions of dollars by 2025.
Yeah, NFTs are definitely having a moment.
They are. And what's interesting is the article points out that they're not just for the ultra-wealthy either. You know, 50% of the NFTs sold in 2021 were actually under $200.
Oh, wow. I didn't realize that.
Yeah, so there's a surprising level of accessibility to this market.
Interesting.
Then on the other hand, we're seeing this surge in hyper-local marketplaces.
Local.
Yeah, like everyone wants things delivered like N now W, and local businesses are booming because of it.
Makes sense.
But wait, it gets even more interesting. The article also talks about how online and offline shopping are merging. Yeah, like imagine pop-up events from your favorite online stores. That's one of the things they highlight. Yeah, so it's this really cool mix of trends happening all at once.
Well, it sounds like it all comes back to the same underlying desire.
What?
Convenience.
Oh, that's a good point. Whether it's getting a rare digital collectible delivered straight to your virtual wallet or having groceries from your local store show up on your doorstep in minutes, it's all about getting what you want when you want it.
Exactly. Consumers today want it all, and they want it now.
No kidding.
Right.
So how do marketplaces even keep up with that?
Well, that's a good question, and one we're going to be exploring in more depth as we continue this deep dive.
I can't wait.
Stay with us.
All right, let's circle back to those NFTs for a second, though, because I have to admit, I still find the whole concept a little mysterious. What exactly are they, and why are people so excited about them?
Yeah, I think a lot of people are still trying to wrap their heads around NFTs.
For sure.
So in the simplest terms, NFTs are digital assets that represent ownership of something unique. This could be a piece of digital art, a virtual item in a game, or even a tweet.
Wow, a tweet.
Yeah, they're stored on a blockchain, which essentially acts as a public ledger that verifies authenticity and ownership.
So it's like having a digital certificate of authenticity for a virtual item.
Exactly. That's a good way to put it. And because NFTs are unique and their ownership history is transparently tracked on the blockchain, they're seen as these valuable collectibles, especially in the digital art world.
But why are they worth so much?
It boils down to scarcity and provenance, like we were just saying. Because they're unique and their history is verifiable, they have this inherent value. And remember, the article mentioned that 50% of NFTs sold in 2021 were under $200.
Yeah.
That means they're not just for the ultra-wealthy. there's a surprising level of accessibility to this market.
That's interesting. So it's not just about owning a piece of digital art, it's about owning a piece of digital history, something with a verifiable story behind it.
Right, and that's what makes them so appealing to collectors and investors.
But beyond the financial aspect, NFTs are also changing how creators interact with their audiences.
Oh, absolutely. They allow artists, musicians, and other creators to sell their work directly to fans, cut out the middleman, and potentially earn a larger share of the profits.
Wow, that's a game changer for the creative industries.
It is. It's a whole new way of thinking about ownership and distribution.
But let's be realistic. Not every NFT is going to be a $1 million masterpiece.
Yeah.
How do you even know which ones are worth investing in? I mean, it all seems a bit like the Wild West out there.
That's true. The NFT market is still relatively young and evolving rapidly. There's definitely a learning curve for both creators and collectors. But that's also part of the appeal, isn't it? This sense of exploring uncharted territory and being part of something truly groundbreaking.
I guess so. Okay, I have to admit, you're kind of making me want to buy an NFT now. But before I go on a digital spending spree, let's get back to the bigger picture.
Sounds good.
The article emphasizes this growing concern about privacy and trust in the marketplace, which makes sense with all the data breaches happening these days.
It's a critical issue. And the article actually cites a statistic that really struck me. 54% of consumers are less likely to use a platform they don't trust with their data.
Wow, that's huge.
It is. It's a significant portion of potential customers, which means marketplaces can't afford to ignore this concern.
So it's not just about offering the coolest products or the fastest delivery anymore.
Right.
It's about building a relationship with the customers based on trust and transparency.
Exactly.
But here's a question for you. If people are so worried about privacy, why are they willing to share their data for personalized recommendations? Isn't that a bit contradictory?
It's an interesting tension, right?
Yeah.
The article suggests that consumers are willing to share data. They perceive a clear value exchange.
So they need to see the benefit.
Right. They're more likely to trust a marketplace that's upfront about how their data is being used and offer something tangible in return, like those personalized recommendations or exclusive discounts.
So it's all about transparency and making sure customers feel like they're getting something worthwhile in exchange for their data. It's a partnership, not a one-way street.
Precisely.
Yeah.
And marketplaces that can strike that balance between personalization and privacy will be the ones that thrive in the long run.
Speaking of thriving, one thing that surprised me in the article was the fact that multi-vendor marketplaces are actually growing, even with giants like Amazon seemingly dominating the landscape.
Yeah, that is surprising at first glance. But it makes sense when you consider the power of the marketplace model. And here's a fascinating fact. 85% of Amazon's sales actually come from third-party sellers.
Really? I had no idea it was that high.
Yeah, it's huge.
Yeah.
So even the behemoths are relying on this collaborative approach.
So what's the secret sauce? Why are multi-vendor marketplaces so appealing, even in a world where you can buy almost anything directly from a big retailer?
I think it comes down to a few key advantages. First, there's the sheer variety and choice that marketplaces offer. It's like browsing a massive online bazaar where you can find products from all sorts of different vendors, often with unique or specialized offerings you wouldn't find elsewhere.
Right, it's that sense of discovery we were talking about earlier, like stumbling upon something unexpected and exciting.
Exactly. And then there's the potential for better prices, because marketplaces foster competition among sellers. Buyers often benefit from more competitive pricing and deals.
Makes sense.
And finally, there's often a stronger sense of community within marketplaces. You're not just interacting with a faceless corporation, you're connecting with individual sellers and often other shoppers who share your interests.
It's like the digital equivalent of a bustling farmer's market where you can chat with the vendors, learn about their products, and maybe even get some insider tips.
I love that analogy. And it speaks to the human element that's often missing from traditional e-commerce.
Totally. And this brings us to one of the most exciting and perhaps daunting aspects of the evolving marketplace landscape, the rapid pace of technological advancement.
Oh yeah, buckle up.
The article highlights some truly mind-blowing developments that are likely to shape how we shop in the very near future. But before we dive into those, I think we need to take a quick pause.
Okay.
We've covered a lot of ground already, and I want to make sure we have time to unpack these emerging technologies and their implications fully.
That sounds like a plan.
Yeah.
And I think our listeners will appreciate the chance to digest all this information before we delve into even more futuristic concepts. It's a lot to process.
Yeah, for sure. But it's also incredibly fascinating, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. It's like we're getting a sneak peek into a world that's still being written.
And I, for one, am eager to see what the next chapter holds.
Okay, so are you ready to jump back into those futuristic marketplace trends?
I am. Bring it on.
All right, so the article dives into some really interesting examples of how these cutting-edge technologies are shaping the marketplace landscape. One trend that caught my eye is the rise of subscription-based marketplaces.
Oh, yeah, those are everywhere now.
Right, they're popping up everywhere, offering everything from curated beauty boxes to, like, specialized pet supplies, you name it.
Yeah, it seems like every week there's a new subscription service for something. What do you think is driving this trend? Is it just about convenience, or is there something more to it?
I think convenience is definitely a big part of it. Those subscription models offer that set it and forget it appeal, which is really appealing in our busy lives.
Yeah, for sure. But it goes deeper than that, I think. It's also about the curated experience, right?
Ah, exactly.
Like subscription boxes often introduce you to new products or brands that you might not have discovered otherwise.
It's true. They can be a great way to try new things.
It's like having a personal shopper who knows your tastes and surprises you with delightful discoveries every month.
I like that analogy.
Me too. But do you think these subscription marketplaces will eventually, like, completely replace traditional online shopping? Or will they just coexist?
That's a great question. It's tough to predict the future with certainty, but I think coexistence is more likely.
Okay.
Subscription models work really well for certain types of products and services, especially those that are consumed regularly or offer a sense of discovery.
Yeah.
But I think there will always be a need for that flexibility of one-off purchases and the wide selection that traditional online marketplaces provide.
That makes sense. It's all about having options, right? Having the best of both worlds.
Exactly.
So another trend that I found really interesting was the evolution of multi-vendor models. The article talks about how these platforms are becoming more sophisticated, incorporating advanced features and functionalities to enhance the user experience.
Oh, for sure. They have to stay competitive.
Yeah, exactly. We're no longer satisfied with just like basic product listings and clunky checkout processes.
Right.
Modern marketplaces need to offer more.
They do. They're integrating things like robust user account management, detailed product descriptions with high-quality images and videos, and even social features that allow buyers to connect and share reviews.
It's like they're building entire ecosystems within these marketplaces.
That's a great way to put it.
And I imagine the sophistication is a key driver of success for them, too.
Absolutely. It attracts both sellers and buyers in this virtuous cycle.
So they need to keep upping their game, basically.
They do. The marketplaces that invest in creating that seamless and engaging user experience are the ones that will thrive in the long run.
Yeah, they need to create that stickiness that keeps people coming back for more.
For sure.
Mm-hmm.
They're not just offering products, they're creating a community, a destination where people want to spend time and connect.
And speaking of creating destinations, the article highlights two technologies that are poised to revolutionize how we shop online: augmented reality, AR, and virtual reality, VR.
Ah, yes, the really fun stuff.
Right. I was so excited to get to this part. The article hints at some truly mind-blowing applications for these technologies in the marketplace world.
It really is exciting stuff.
Yeah.
Imagine, for example, being able to virtually try on clothes from the comfort of your own home using AR. You can see how a new dress looks on your body, how different colors complement your skin tone, all without stepping foot in a store.
Oh my gosh, that would be a game changer.
Right.
Especially for someone like me who hates the hassle of dressing rooms.
Exactly. AR has the potential to make shopping so much more convenient and personalized.
But how realistic is this technology right now? Is it just a futuristic fantasy, or is it something we can expect to see in the next couple of years?
It's closer than you might think. Several marketplaces are already experimenting with AR features, and the results are pretty impressive.
Really?
You can already use AR to see how furniture would look in your living room or how a new pair of glasses would fit your face.
Yeah.
And as the technology continues to advance, those experiences will become even more realistic and immersive.
I can't wait to see where this goes. And what about virtual reality? How do you see that impacting marketplaces?
Well, VR has the potential to create truly immersive shopping experiences. Imagine stepping into a virtual store where you can browse products, interact with salespeople, and even attend events all from your living room.
It's like the metaverse for shopping.
It kind of is.
But wouldn't that take away from the social aspect of shopping? Part of the fun is browsing with friends or getting advice from a helpful salesperson.
That's a valid concern for sure.
Yeah.
But VR technology is evolving to address that. Some platforms are already incorporating social features into their virtual environments, allowing you to shop with friends or connect with other shoppers who share your interests.
Okay, so it's not just you alone in this virtual world.
Right. It's like bringing the social experience of a mall into the virtual realm.
That's actually pretty cool. And I imagine these virtual shopping experiences could be incredibly useful for people who live in rural areas or have mobility issues.
Absolutely. It would open up a whole world of possibilities for them.
It could democratize access to a wider range of products and services, break down geographical barriers, and create a more inclusive shopping experience for everyone.
Exactly. That's the power of these technologies.
But with all this talk of AI, AR, and VR, it's easy to get caught up in the flashy tech and forget about the human element. The article reminds us that building trust and transparency is more important than ever, especially when it comes to data privacy.
Right. It's a critical point.
Yeah.
Especially as marketplaces collect more and more data about our shopping habits, preferences, and even our physical spaces.
Yeah, it's a little unnerving when you think about it.
It can be. But the key is for consumers to feel confident that their data is being handled responsibly and ethically.
Yeah, it goes beyond just complying with regulations like GDPR. It's about building genuine trust with customers.
Exactly.
So what does that look like in practice?
Well, it's about being transparent about how data is collected, used, and stored. It's about giving customers the ability to control their data and opt out of personalized recommendations if they choose.
So it's about empowering them to make informed choices.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I think this emphasis on transparency and ethical data practices is actually a competitive advantage.
Oh, how so?
Well, marketplaces that prioritize data privacy are more likely to earn the trust and loyalty of consumers, especially in a world where data breaches and privacy concerns are becoming increasingly common.
So it's not just the right thing to do, it's also good for business.
That's right.
Okay, so switching gears again, the article talks about this interesting trend of merging online and offline experiences. They mention pop-up events as an example of this, and I have to admit, I love that idea.
To me too. Pop-up events are so much fun.
Right, like imagine your favorite online store just popping up in your city.
It's a great way to bridge that gap between the digital and physical worlds.
Pop-up events allow marketplaces to create tangible, real-world experiences that complement their online presence. They can showcase products, engage with customers face-to-face, and even foster that sense of community we were talking about.
It's like bringing the online marketplace to life.
Exactly. It allows customers to experience it with all their senses.
And it can also be a really powerful way to reach new customers who might not be as familiar with the online marketplace.
Oh, that's a good point.
It's a form of experiential marketing that can create lasting impressions and generate a lot of buzz around the brand.
Yeah, it's like the best of both worlds.
Yeah.
The convenience and variety of online shopping combined with the personal touch and excitement of a real-world event.
I love it.
Okay, so one last trend I want to touch on before we wrap things up.
All right, what is it?
The rise of voice search.
Ah, yes. The future is speaking.
It really is. The article predicts that half of all online searches will be done through voice by 2025.
Wow, that's huge.
It is. I mean, I already use voice search all the time for simple things like checking the weather or setting reminders. But to think that it could become the dominant way we search for products and services online, that's mind-boggling.
It changes everything about how we think about search.
Right.
It's a whole new ballgame.
Hmm.
Instead of keywords, we'll be optimizing for conversational queries. Marketplaces will need to adapt to how people naturally speak and ask questions, providing clear, concise answers that are easily understood by voice assistants.
It's like having a conversation with your marketplace rather than just typing in keywords and hoping for the best.
Right. It requires a shift in mindset for both marketplaces and consumers.
So how do we prepare for this voice-powered future?
Well, marketplaces need to think about how their content can answer those conversational queries in a way that's helpful and engaging. And consumers need to get comfortable with using their voices to navigate the online world.
It's a brave new world out there.
It is, but it's also an incredible opportunity for marketplaces to connect with customers in a more personal and intuitive way.
Voice search has the potential to really humanize the online shopping experience, making it feel more like a conversation between friends than a transaction between a buyer and a seller.
That's a great way to put it.
Yeah.
It's all about creating an experience that's convenient, personalized, and above all, human.
I love that. And that's what makes this such an exciting time to be following the evolution of the marketplace. Right.
We're seeing these incredible technological advancements, but at the same time, there's this renewed focus on the human element, on building trust and fostering authentic connections.
It's a powerful combination.
So before we move on to our final thoughts, maybe we should take another quick pause to let all this sink in. It's a lot to process.
Yeah, I agree. Let's give our listeners a chance to digest everything, and then we'll come back and try to tie it all together.
Sounds good. All right, so we're back. And wow, we covered a lot of ground in this deep dive.
We did, from AI-powered shopping assistants to virtual reality stores. It's amazing to think about how much the world of shopping is changing.
It really is. And it's not just about the technology itself.
Right.
It's about what these trends tell us about how we're living our lives and what we value as consumers.
Exactly, like that desire for convenience and personalization,
Yeah.
but also that growing concern about data privacy and the need for genuine connection.
We're so true. So if we had to sum it all up, what would you say are the biggest takeaways from this exploration of marketplace trends? That's a good question. I think one of the most important takeaways is that marketplaces are becoming much more than just places to buy and sell stuff.
Okay.
They're evolving into these dynamic spaces where people can connect, discover new things, and express their individual identities.
It's like they're becoming these microcosms of our larger culture.
Yeah, exactly. And that means that marketplaces need to be really thoughtful about how they design these spaces and the kinds of experiences they create for their users.
Makes sense. So what do you think will be the most important factors for success in this evolving marketplace landscape?
Well, I think building trust is going to be absolutely crucial.
Oh, absolutely.
Consumers need to feel confident that their data is being handled responsibly and ethically, that the platforms they're engaging with have their best interests at heart.
It's like that foundation of trust is what allows everything else to flourish.
Right. And that means being transparent about data practices, giving users control over their information, and prioritizing privacy.
But it's not just about data privacy, right? It's also about creating those genuine human connections.
Oh, for sure. Marketplaces that can foster a sense of community and belonging will have a huge advantage.
Like those online marketplaces that feel more like a bustling farmer's market than a sterile shopping mall.
Exactly. Places where people can interact with each other, share their passions, and discover new things they might not have found on their own.
So it's this delicate balance between leveraging technology to create amazing experiences and staying grounded in those core human values.
I think you nailed it. It's about finding that sweet spot where technology enhances our lives rather than dictating them.
And I think that's a powerful message to end on. It's a reminder that we have a choice in how we shape the future of technology and the role it plays in our lives.
It's not about passively accepting whatever new gadgets or platforms come along. It's about actively engaging with these advancements and demanding that they serve our needs and values.
And on that note, I want to thank you all for joining us on this deep dive into the future of marketplaces. It's been an incredible journey, and we hope you've come away feeling inspired and maybe even a little bit challenged to think differently about the world of shopping and commerce.
We'll see you next time for another deep dive into something fascinating.
Until then, stay curious.